If you could go back in time to the dot-com boom and live through all of that with the knowledge that you have right now of what companies and what technologies and what services would come out of that and continue to flourish in the decades that followed, how would that change your perception of the whole event and of that whole time? We're living through a time like that now as we all dive in to different and new technologies that promise to take us far ahead of our current capabilities. But a lot of it's hype, some of it's real, and it's important to discern between the two so that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So we're going to take a look at that based on some of the current events of the day. And we're going to dive in a little bit deeper today on the Daily Dance.
Welcome to the Daily Dance with your host, Brad Richardson.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope everybody's having a good day. It is Thursday, and it is July 23rd today. So I hope everyone is having a good week. We have the end of the week in sight, and welcome. Thanks for stopping in. This is a redo of yesterday's show, essentially. I've done something that I never did before. I went ahead and deleted the recordings of yesterday's show because we had some technical issues. Things got out of hand. I began to ramble. It was just not worth, in my estimation, wasn't worth people's time to watch, and I wasn't going to do that. I hope I don't do that very often. Part of the point here is for us to move ahead and learn as we go, because I want all of you hopefully be doing that with your own projects, that you're going to start where you're at and not worry about it not being perfect, but just to get in motion. And that's what this show has been for me. And I hope it can be an example to you in that. So, but for this show, I felt it deserved more attention than I'd given it and more preparation than I'd given it because of different topics that are coming up in the news right now in technology and in the world. And so we're going to give it a little bit more attention today. So thanks for bearing with me. Before we get going, we do need to remember to do our daily dance. This is the Daily Dance. We take the name from a habit that we want to have of starting every day with your little dance, preferably before you start your workday, before you step out of the house, to dance a little jig to the music in your own head and get yourself going for the day. But we also do that here collectively together. So in your chair, in your office, in your home office, wherever you are, grab a workmate, grab a family member, and don't worry about looking too silly. That's part of the point. So let's all do our daily dance. There we go. Yeah, I need to re-loop that so there isn't the little, doesn't get out of sync halfway through, so we can just keep grooving. But thanks for joining us in that. And I hope we can bring a little encouragement to you today. Part of the way that I hope to encourage with this show is to bring up topics that maybe you don't know how to approach or discuss. We are all operating in a day and age of a lot of sophomoric knowledge that is partial knowledge. And the things that come across, it's hard to know who to trust. It's hard to know what information to trust that is being pushed our way, especially when everybody is doing things for clicks. Everyone is doing things for attention, and believe me, I understand that. I mean, I'm hosting a podcast. This is mostly therapeutic, I think, for me, but it certainly would be nice for more people to watch. So I understand that temptation, but I want to be able to help us navigate some of these these topics in a thoughtful way. It's not that I'm always going to be right. I know that. But it does give me a chance to get what I'm seeing out there filtered through my years of experience, and hopefully that can help. Um, what are we talking about today? We are talking once again. I titled the show that we're essentially redoing here Common Sense. I would have liked to name that something different now in retrospect, but there is what we're fighting for here is being able to make good decisions in the midst of a lot of sometimes fear and hype, and many opinions flying around. And I think the fear is the biggest driver when it comes to new things in any area of your life, especially in business. There's that fear of being left behind because there's a real cost to missing a trend, a good trend, right? There is a real cost to that. So when we talk about fear and moving past that, I think it helps to not be that we can't get too arrogant about that. It's easy to point out others' mistakes in hindsight. Oh, you missed this. Oh, you jumped the gun on that. But in the moment, there is a real danger because for a business, you're trying to keep everything going. You're trying to last as long as you can. You're trying to keep the lights on and keep the bills paid so that you can do everything again tomorrow, right? And that produces a real pressure, and it's not imaginary. It is not unnecessary. It's a real thing. So how do we make good decisions in the midst of that type of an environment, especially if you're in a very competitive field? Well, first, let's look at the drivers there. And it's faster, higher, farther, right? It's always these days having to produce more and better and more revenue and better margins, and every quarter needs to be better than the last. And so we are constantly pressing. And so it is kind of like, it feels to me like mainstream business has become like being a test pilot. Now, I've never been a test pilot, so I'm going off movies, things that other people have written, and what I'm imagining that's like. But anything where you are testing and pushing the pocket, pushing the capabilities of the technology at your disposal, and suddenly everything starts to feel like that. In business, especially with regard to technology and the way that we use it now, we're always looking to get more out of it, squeeze more out of it. And I bring that up because to me, that's what leads us to uh, the AI race, the current AI race. It's uh, there's a real gain to be had by having good functional AI agents working for your business, in that they can accomplish things faster than a human workforce could. They can accomplish a lot more, a single agent in some use cases, a lot more than what a single person could. There could be cost savings that get realized. These are all good things. I see advances in AI, especially with regard to the medical field and in finance. There are certain applications where I've heard that there have been great breakthroughs in ways that they're being very helpful, and so that's great. That is exceptional, uh, but that also then means we can feel the pressure to see those kinds of gains in every area, and frankly, not everything that we work in needs that type of a jump forward or can benefit from it in the same way. We need to be good at gauging what we're going after. Okay, we need to be good at gauging what we're going after, and that leads me to just the basic: what problem does this solve? What problem does this proposed AI solution that maybe we want to roll out to our board, maybe we want to roll out to our manager, maybe we want to champion, what does it solve? Because it could be good, but it might not be good for us right now. It might be good, but the cost savings maybe aren't there yet because the economies of what's going, how much you're paying for compute right now, depending on what the setup is for your business, that may not pencil out, right? That may not make sense. Or maybe the problem that you think you're trying to solve really isn't a problem. It's a preference, it's something that would be nice. All those things need to be taken into account, and not just when we're talking about AI, but with everything, right? These are general business principles. When we're proposing new spending, when we're proposing process changes, we need to have first and foremost a clear picture of what problem we're solving for, because otherwise we can waste time and resources on something that doesn't even need our attention. It isn't broken. It isn't there are cases still where if it isn't broken, you don't fix it, right? So that's what I'm getting at. Again, not rocket science here, just reminders, but we need reminders of some of our basic principles when something new and exciting comes along. And we did see that in the dot-com boom, and there have been other instances as well, but that's one that to me is such a good example, because the dot-com boom, when the internet came about and companies were putting up web pages, and you had all the same arguments then. You had people saying, oh, it's a fad, it's going to go away. You had other people going, this is going to change the world. Some people saying, oh, retail, in-person retail is done. All the shops are going to close. What we've seen is something in the middle, right? Because a lot of the businesses were crazy that got started during that time, and they're gone. A lot of the businesses that started during that time are crucial to our current economy and the way that we, in our business world, now we function. A lot of the web services that we all use. There are others that have just been, moderate successes, stuff in between. But it's the same way. And back in that time, if you could go back and see what businesses, what services, if you could take a deep breath, not even with full knowledge of knowing specifically what businesses were going to survive, but just with more knowledge now of how what benefit a connected world and an internet capable business, what kind of benefit those are going to bring, what customers are really going to like. It would be interesting, wouldn't it, then, to see all the ideas that were coming up. A lot of them you would see right away. This is nuts. This is crazy. This isn't going to be advantageous at all. A lot of the ways that retail changed, I think we're still working through this decades later, because there's a lot in retail, in-person retail, to be gained, because we're humans. We're human beings, and we still, some of us still like human contact. There's those times where we want to get to a human face-to-face, whether it's on the phone or in a business. In-person retail does bring certain advantages. And I've seen businesses go to different extremes on that, to some that have just, pitched the in-person experience and just looking at their stores as an extension of their website. And there are some that have leaned back into the personal experience that you can bring, that is its unique strength of in-person retail. They've leaned back into that, and I think that's the smarter play. But the point being is that if you knew all that back then, you could navigate things a lot better. Well, I think we can take some lessons from back then and from different things that the business world has been through with regard to technology, and we can apply that to AI. And and what brought a lot of this about, and I harped on the now deleted episode that we will never speak of again. But I did harp a little bit on it because of just some of the fun we've been having lately with AI. This hit, first I saw it was yesterday. I don't know exactly when it hit, sometime this week, of OpenAI talking about having tech that went rogue, and they're calling it, right, unprecedented in the press, unprecedented hack of another company. And the company's name is Huggy Face. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's a great name. I'll never forget it. That's great marketing and all that. But Huggy Face got hacked, but it was by an AI. And they're saying, from what I read, that it was a combination of it being an advanced AI that was in testing, advanced model that was in testing, and some safeguards were maybe, I don't think they were removed, but weakened so that they could test certain things. It was set to do a task. It determined that the best way to do that task was to go rogue, was to defeat some of its own safety protocols, was to go and hack into Huggy Face's site and get the information that it needed to complete its task. And that raises some real issues, doesn't it? This brings us back into the realm of common sense and us needing to operate with common sense and understanding why I'm bringing it up, because why is there such an urgency? Why do we have such an urgency to build in this level of intelligence to our technology? I'm not saying that we won't get there. I'm not saying that there can't be good applications. But I'm saying, don't we need to ask again, what exactly are we trying to do? What problem are we trying to solve that's driving us like this? Now, you can go back and go, well, for a lot of these businesses, it's what's hot right now, so they're trying to make money while they can. Yes. But the reason that it's hot right now is because everybody thinks AI can solve all kinds of issues for them that right now in its current form, it can't. Again, may get there, and it can do a lot of great stuff. But right now, we're building up expectations that are many, many times unrealistic expectations. And the concern there, this is not an anti-AI rant, okay? We all work with it, I think, at this point in some way, shape, or form. It's very likely that I'll probably end up working for some kind of AI-enabled company in the future. That is our future, and it is useful and it can be good, but it's going to be much harder to have good deployments of this technology if we raise these unrealistic and unsafe expectations and push them forward when we're not ready for them, because there could be disastrous consequences, and then we're going to end up in a situation where we don't end up with a good solution. With good solutions regarding AI, we end up with subpar solutions. We end up with maybe government getting involved even more to regulate because we have not been responsible in how we move forward with the technology. There's all kinds of ramifications from how we handle this moment right now. And to me, a lot of it can come back to what problem does this solve? And I would ask even individual companies, if you are thinking you need to stand up your own unique AI product internally, your own custom agents for whatever you do, that somehow you're going to gain some business advantage with it. There are some of you that that's true for. There are a lot of you that it's not true. You are being told it's true, usually by people who are trying to advance the career or who may be selling you something. Okay. But you don't necessarily need your own custom play. As I mentioned elsewhere before, for most companies, I think AI is going to be implemented in your businesses just through the AI implementations in the software as a service that you pay for, in the platforms that you pay for, that software that's built out. It's going to be built in to there in ways that you can use it productively within the environments you already pay for. And that's probably the best way for most businesses, especially small and medium-sized businesses, to implement AI. The vast majority of ideas that I've seen, been a part of, had to consult on and talk about, where a company believes they have some great advantage in some special process, it usually isn't that special. Not as special as they think, not as unique as they think. Look, we've all got egos, and we've all got some pride involved, and we like to think that we've invented something new, when many times we haven't. And a theme I have on the show, if you've watched at all, is that so much of what I bring up isn't new. The vast majority of it isn't. I read books. There's loads of history and loads of wisdom out there, and there's nothing new under the sun. So we're usually just moving forward on well-established wisdom. And it should be dangerous to us whenever we think that we've come up with, we reinvented the wheel. Occasionally we do. Occasionally we do, and those are the big winners. And I still, yes, go ahead and look at it, consider those ideas, strive for them, absolutely. But when it comes to implementing, we have got to be very realistic about what it is we're doing. And so with AI, what problems does this solve? And I know I've sat on this point for a long time. There's a reason for that, because it is key to helping us avoid a lot of unnecessary work, a lot of unnecessary drama within our work lives, and it can help save our businesses a lot of money by simply asking this question and properly answering it before we start to invest money in new initiatives. And with regard to the things going on with AI, I mean, we really don't need to get to iRobot territory, do we? It's like, uh, you know, you can get to a point where you're building in technology that does become a bit dangerous. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I just hope I'm getting my point across. That you can, again, what do we need to get to the point where it's like that? And then it comes back to security, and security is one of the biggest things with IT, or should be. Security should always be front burner in what we implement, how we implement it, and and we're always so sure that or we're always being reassured that, oh, no, it's safe. It's like, well, wait a minute, is it safe? Uh, don't be afraid to ask those questions, okay? And that brings us back to then the third point, which is my 3 E's. And my 3 E's are something that through the years just kind of emerged. And this is something that if I picked it up somewhere else and I'm not attributing it properly, I apologize. But as far as I know, it just kind of evolved after years of working. And it's the 3 E's are effective and efficient and economical. Okay. And I think that is the best and safest lens. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like the 3 laws from iRobot, right? Ooh, okay. We're getting scary territory. But no, 3 E's. So the first E is what I want to focus on here, effective. I think when we're looking at technology solutions, we always have to look first at, is it effective? Does it help my business do what it needs to do? Does it help users do their job better? Does it really deliver on its promise? Is it effective? Everything has to be able to get over that hurdle. It has to go through that gate. After you get through that gate, then you can look at, is it efficient? Is the proposed solution efficient? And then finally, is it economical? And usually we end up flipping those. And I understand why we do. We want to make sure we're not overspending and overpaying. We've all been burnt. Okay. But by reversing these, and first it's yeah, you have to have all three, but this is the order that you look at them in, because it keeps your solutions user focused. So you don't get tempted to go with a solution simply because it's economical, appears efficient, and now you're going to fudge on, well, is it effective? Oh yeah, it'll be effective enough. See, that's how that ends up playing out. Instead, if you start with a commitment to the fact that, no, it's got to be effective, it's got to do what we need it to do, it's got to do it well, it's got to be an improvement if we're going to go down this path. And then you look at, okay, and then how efficient is it, or can we make it? And now you can negotiate price and contract and all that and get to where it's economical. So the 3 E's, stick by them, love them. It's a great way to help view all of this. And this can help us avoid what we were just talking about too, with everything going on with AI, how hard we're pushing. That's causing us to push things past where they're safe. Okay. If we can reel it back in, because in that first E, in the effective, that is where we're answering what problem does this solve. Those are kind of wrapped together, right? So if we can answer that, and it helps take and we remove all the use cases where the technology just isn't ready yet or we really don't need it. Now we can focus on what's needful and what's useful, and hopefully that will take enough pressure off that now we're not pressing so hard that we end up putting things in place that aren't safe, that do cause problems, right? That's my thought anyway. That's my thinking. So, faster, higher, and farther. It's the pressure that we have in our businesses to actually produce at a radical pace. So let's stop then and ask, what problem does this solve? And then focus on the three E's. Is it effective? Then is it efficient? And then is it economical? And by doing those things, it takes a lot of discipline to stick to those in the heat of battle, but it can help you avoid loads of problems. So that, and to me, that back to our theme of common sense, that does just lead us back to common sense. But it all involves us taking a breath and looking at things in a more common sense way, not allowing ourselves to get hyped up on something that's new just because it's new. I enjoy new technology too. I love it. I mean, I got into technology because it can be fun, because it can be exciting. But let's make sure those are the test pilots right over here in the plane. That's not someone on a commercial jetliner flying that baby. It's something where we understand. Oh, this is over in our sandbox. This is just testing. And then OpenAI, please keep things in your sandbox, please. While you're figuring all these things out, that would be appreciated by the rest of us. I think would be a good idea. So there you go. Again, I'll be honest, I'm paranoid and concerned about being labeled as anti-AI. I am not, but I do want us to be realistic about it so that what we produce can be successful and actually helpful. The best technology is technology that works for us, not the other way around. Okay? That works for us and helps us, not the other way around. Good technology should kind of fade into the background and do what you've asked of it. And there are ramifications from that too, that just mean that we're at the end of this episode. We don't have time to get into that again, but ramifications that mean that we do need to do our due diligence on the front end to make sure that we're not doing anything that's unnecessary, and making sure we have necessary safeguards in place and not putting undue pressure to move too fast, because we're dealing with things now that will have serious ramifications, real possible negative consequences if we don't handle things responsibly, if we don't use common sense and how we approach it. So it becomes very, very needful. So anyway, so homework for this one. What kind of homework do we have besides Brad needing to learn how to breathe? Well, let's review major initiatives. Okay. Review major initiatives that you have going on and try to review them through these lenses, especially the three E's, incorporating what problem does this solve into the first E, into the effectiveness. Is it effective? What problem does this solve? All your major initiatives right now, can you answer clearly what problem you're trying to solve with that initiative? Do you know? Does everybody know? Are you all on the same page? Does it make sense to everybody? Important to do. So go ahead, review your major initiatives, go through your three E's, and especially that first one, and identify what problem does each one solve, and just see what it brings up. If nothing else, it should bring up good discussions that you can have that will help you to execute those ideas even better. Don't be afraid to review. Set a timeline on it. If you don't want to get hamstrung, you don't want to take too much time, that's fair. So put a time limit on it. It's like, hey, we're going to take a couple days. We're going to take a week, and we're just going to review real quick and then move on. Great. But do the review, check for effectiveness, and then proceed. So that's the homework. Thank you so much for joining again today with the Daily Dance. This is not something that I'm out really advertising or anything like that. So if it's at all beneficial to you, please come back and watch again. Please share it with your friends and family and coworkers and boss and team. because that's the only way that's going to get around. And it may not be as beneficial to you, but it may be to somebody else. And I'm just trying to take what I've learned over the years and disseminate it in some kind of form that it can hopefully be useful, as these are ideas that I have found have been useful and beneficial to me. So you can find us on various platforms, on YouTube, on X, on LinkedIn, on Rumble. You can also find us on Locals, and would love it if you would find us and subscribe on Locals, so that we can start to build a community, so that we can have conversations around these topics. That would be even better. Trying to carve out an area of the internet where we can get away maybe from too much advertising and all of that kind of thing, and just have real discussions about topics that matter for us in technology and business and life. And most of all, I'm wanting to attract all the people who are good people that want to do things in a good way that can benefit their families and communities and benefit the business that they work for, because this is the place where we want good guys to finish first. We don't want just the loudest voices to take the day, but we want good and smart people to find their voice and be able to move good principles forward. So that's us at the Daily Dance. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it. And until next time, remember to just